The Invisible Architects, Black Women as the Unsung Foundation of America's Economic Engine. Have you ever stood in awe of a magnificent building, marveling at its grandeur, only to completely overlook the foundation that makes it possible? That's precisely what we've done with America's economic story. We celebrate the gleaming towers of industry while ignoring the foundation that has sustained it all. Recently, I had the profound privilege of interviewing Telethia Barrett, whose groundbreaking research has illuminated one of history's most deliberate erasures. Telethia isn't just a researcher, she's a modern day archaeologist of truth, excavating stories that powerful interests have spent centuries burying. Her meticulous work documents how Black women have been the invisible architects of America's prosperity, the foundation upon which empires were built, yet rarely acknowledged. Her insights haven't just contributed to academic discourse, they fundamentally transformed how we understand economic history, challenging us to see what has been deliberately hidden in plain sight. Think about this for a moment. The cotton that clothed the world and fueled the Industrial Revolution passed through whose hands? The communities that survived impossible odds through mutual aid. Who organized them? The modern economies that thrive today. Who keeps them running? Black women. Yet their contributions remain largely uncredited, their labor exploited, their innovations claimed by others. This isn't accidental, it's by design. When I first encountered Telethia Barrett's research, I experienced what I can only describe as historical vertigo, that disorienting feeling when everything you thought you knew suddenly shifts. The economic narrative I've been taught my entire life was incomplete at best, deliberately deceptive at worst. Let's start with a truth that should shake us. America's textile industry, the engine that powered our early economic dominance, was built quite literally on the backs of enslaved Black women. From the antebellum period through industrialization, these women weren't just field laborers, they were skilled artisans whose technical mastery in cotton, wool, and indigo production fueled both Southern wealth and national industry. Imagine this: a woman named Sarah, enslaved on a plantation in Georgia, working from dawn until well past dusk, her fingers moving with remarkable precision across a loom, creating textiles that would eventually clothe people across continents. Her innovations with the flying shuttle increased productivity by nearly 40%, an achievement that would have made a white man famous, wealthy, and celebrated in history books. For Sarah, it meant only more work, more exploitation, more profit for her enslaver. These women faced brutal exploitation, forced labor with zero recognition and zero compensation. Their expertise with innovations like the flying shuttle increased productivity, but only intensified the demands placed upon them. Their technical knowledge was essential, yet deliberately uncredited. Consider Elizabeth Keckley, who leveraged her textile skills after emancipation to become a renowned dressmaker and confidant to Mary Todd Lincoln. Her story isn't the exception, it's a glimpse into the rule. Countless Black women built family businesses or supported entire communities through their craft after freedom came. Their expertise laid the foundations for American manufacturing success. But here's what's truly staggering: this pattern of exploitation, followed by erasure, wasn't limited to textiles. It became the template for how America would treat Black women's contributions across every sector of the economy. The question we must ask is not just how did this happen, but why don't we know this happened? And perhaps, most importantly, who benefits from our not knowing? Telethia Barrett's research reveals something even more profound about Black women's economic contributions. Throughout American history, from slavery into freedom, Black women organized cooperative societies that became lifelines for entire communities. When systematically excluded from white dominated financial systems, they didn't just accept defeat, they innovated. They created burial societies to cover funeral costs. They pooled funds for healthcare, for widows and orphan support, even to purchase freedom for those still enslaved. They founded businesses together when denied access elsewhere. Dr. Jessica Gordon Nembhard documents how these collectives began on plantations out of urgent necessity before evolving into powerful engines for independence after emancipation. These networks enabled intergenerational stability and seeded future waves of entrepreneurship and community investment. Imagine the audacity and vision required to create an economic system outside the dominant one that was explicitly designed to exclude you. Imagine doing this with limited resources under constant threat while caring for families and communities. This isn't just resilience, it's revolutionary. Think about what this means. While being denied basic rights, Black women were pioneering cooperative economics and mutual aid networks that would later be discovered by mainstream economists as innovative models. They established grocery cooperatives, freedom farms, and credit unions run by and for African Americans. They successfully navigated around exclusionary policies and laws that were specifically designed to prevent Black economic advancement. This isn't just resilience, it's visionary leadership. These women created the blueprint for modern social enterprises focused on equity and social justice, decades, sometimes centuries before these concepts entered the mainstream economic conversation. And yet, how many economics textbooks credit Black women for these innovations? How many business schools teach the cooperative economic models that Black women developed? The erasure continues generation after generation. The pattern continues today. As California rose to become one of the world's largest economies, Black women played outsized roles as primary breadwinners across diverse sectors: business ownership, public service, caregiving roles. Despite this, they face persistent wage gaps, earning a median annual income of just $31,000 compared to the $50, 0, 0, 0 plus average. When budget cuts threaten social services, who suffers most? And the very communities that Black women have sustained through their labor. As one policy report bluntly states, with Black women serving as primary breadwinners, cutting support undermines our shared prosperity. Yet, even in the face of these challenges, Black women have led advocacy coalitions, fought budget cuts, harnessed community organizing power, and pushed legislation defending family supporting programs. They've maintained crucial safety nets during fiscal crises, advanced representation at decision making tables, and spurred innovation within local economies. This underscores why centering and supporting Black women's leadership is essential, not just morally, but pragmatically for thriving communities and societies. As Telethia Barrett's research demonstrates, economies that marginalize Black women ultimately undermine their own foundations. Let me be clear. This isn't just about acknowledging historical wrongs. It's about recognizing that our current economic systems continue to extract value from Black women's labor while denying them equitable compensation and recognition. When we talk about the invisible hand of the market, perhaps we should be more specific about whose hands we're actually referring to. The question becomes, what do we do with this knowledge? How do we move from recognition to repair? First, we must understand that the erasure of Black women's economic contributions isn't accidental, it's structural. The systems that obscure their labor were designed to do exactly that. Dismantling these systems requires intentional action. Second, we must center Black women's stories not as footnotes to economic history, but as foundational texts. They're models of cooperative economics, mutual aid, and community investment offer blueprints for more equitable economic systems. Third, we must recognize that supporting Black women's economic advancement isn't charity, it's an investment in our collective prosperity. When Black women thrive, communities thrive. When communities thrive, societies thrive. Telethia Barrett's work challenges us to see what has been deliberately hidden and to act on what we now know. It demands that we ask ourselves, whose labor are we benefiting from without acknowledgement? Whose innovations are we claiming as our own? Whose economic contributions are we erasing? The answers might make us uncomfortable. They should. Growth begins at the edge of comfort. I'm reminded of the African proverb, until the lions have their historians, the history of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. For too long, our economic history has glorified the hunters while erasing the true architects of our prosperity. It's time to listen to different historians. It's time to hear the lions' stories. So I challenge you today, don't just leave here nodding in agreement. Don't just feel momentary outrage that fades as you return to your daily life. Take concrete action to disrupt the systems that continue to extract value from Black women's labor without proper recognition or compensation. Patronize businesses owned by Black women. Advocate for policies that support economic justice. Challenge economic narratives that erase Black women's contributions. Invest in organizations led by Black women. Amplify their voices in spaces where decisions are made. And perhaps most importantly, examine your own relationship to this history. How have you benefited from systems built on the exploitation of Black women's labor? What responsibility do you bear in dismantling these systems? The truth is, we cannot build truly just economic systems until we acknowledge the injustice upon which our current systems are built. We cannot claim to value innovation while erasing the innovators. We cannot celebrate entrepreneurship while ignoring the entrepreneurs who created prosperity against impossible odds. As Telethia Barrett's groundbreaking work shows us, Black women have always been the architects of America's prosperity. It's time our economic story reflected that truth, not just in words, but in actions that create a more equitable future for all. Thank you. Thank